Hi, I'm Joe Guinan. I'm the CEO of Advantage Futures, and I'm sitting here today with Brian Gelfin, the Chief Regulatory Officer for the Montreal Exchange. Thank you very much, Brian. Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure to be here.
Uh, I wanted to chat with you a little bit about your experience and the Montreal Exchange. How did you come to work at Montreal? How did you begin your career?
So I came into the exchange world through a bit of a side entrance, I would say. I studied international relations and international economics at university, and I did a master's degree, and then I went to law school, and I studied law, and I was practicing law, but I was always interested in the markets. And I wrote a long paper which turned into a book on the regulation of financial markets in Canada. And then I left private practice and went to work for IOSCO, the International Organization of Securities Commissions. And there I was traveling around the world. We're working on policy. I'm working in Africa and Asia. And I was getting more and more interested in what was happening, particularly in the derivatives markets. After a number of years, I think I was at IOSCO for 5 years, I had a call from somebody at the Montreal Exchange, which was then transforming itself from a cooperative, open outcry stock exchange with a futures pit to an all-electronic, for-profit derivatives exchange. And in the course of that transformation, they wanted to develop a training arm to teach people about derivatives. So I was hired to be the founding director of the Derivatives Institute. And I ran that for around 3 years. And then I went into the commercial side of the exchange, business development, corporate relations. After a few years, I was running all of our market operations and institutional relationship management. And then I got tapped on the shoulder a couple of years ago. Why don't you move over into the regulatory side of the exchange and run the SRO? So I've sort of come full circle. I came in on the regulatory side of the business, worked on the market side, and then now I'm back on the regulatory side.
Well, I think that's a great, actually, career path because very often people start out on one side or the other and don't understand the other side of the business. Whether you're on the regulatory side, you're there forever, or you're on the commercial side and you're there forever. And I think it's great to have that experience on both sides.
I agree. Actually, that's one of the things that's appealing about this business, about this industry, is the variety. And if you have the opportunity to work in the different areas, I bring market and operational knowledge and participant knowledge to the regulatory side. And when I was on the commercial side, I brought the sort of policy approach to the commercial side of the business. So very interesting.
During your time in Montreal, and I suppose the IOSCO before that, you've seen a lot of transformations.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest transformations you've seen at Montreal?
I joined Montreal just as the floor was closing. So there was the options pit was, or the open outcry trading on options was still around for a little while after I joined. So clearly the migration to electronic trading was a huge transformation. I think that what we've seen recently in terms of the re-regulation of the business has been an enormous transformation. And it's changed the economics of the business. It's been a tremendous transformation. And I remember at the time that, just following the financial crisis, when the G20 leaders adopted their commitments that OTC instruments should be traded where appropriate on exchanges and centrally cleared. And all of us on the futures side were thinking, well, this is great. They're going to make the OTC markets look like the futures markets, so the futures markets must be working. Over the course of time, of course, the futures markets themselves have been impacted by the re-regulation. So I think that's clearly, in my career, that's been the single biggest transformation.
Yeah, and it's still ongoing.
Ongoing.
What in the near future, let's say next year or two, what prospects do you see for the futures business in Canada?
I still think that there are tremendous opportunities. I think that this re-regulation we were talking about, still being in process, clearly is still going to have, I think, a positive impact on the listed derivatives business, derivatives that are listed and centrally cleared. And Canada is still, to a certain extent, less developed in terms of its potential than some of the other major markets, like the U.S. So there's still clearly upside. And we've seen over the past year, tremendous growth in the flagship products on the Montreal Exchange, and the CGB, which is our 10-year bond futures, the SXF, which is the index futures, even our equity options business, which is probably less apparent to our American participants, since the American participants don't have direct access to the Canadian securities options.
Right.
But we've seen volume growth there as well. So there's still upside.
If you can ever get rates going up, you could maybe see BA growth, volume growth.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Now, one of the issues for us foreign FCMs based in the U.S. when we're trying to deal with clients in Canada is the lack of harmonization of regulations across the different provinces. Do you see any harmonization coming in the future?
You know, there is a great deal of cooperation between the regulators behind the scenes. So Canada has 13 securities regulators, one for every province and each of the 3 territories. And there is an organization called the Canadian Securities Administrators, where the regulators get together and develop national instruments and national policies. So there is a degree of harmonization in that respect, or I'd say cooperation as opposed to harmonization. And of course, those of us who are market operators in Canada are consistently reminding the regulators that it's important that there be consistency between the different jurisdictions. There is an initiative at the federal level to establish a federal market regulator. And that's really still at the developmental stage. They've published some draft rules and regulations. So there is a potential that there would be some consolidation of regulators at the federal level. So I think the forces are there for increased cooperation and potentially harmonization.
I hope.
Yeah.
From our perspective, it would make it much easier dealing with Canadian citizens or companies.
I can absolutely understand that, and I do understand that there are some of the differences that still exist, that still persist, can have an impact on participants, domestic as well as foreign.
For firms like Advantage and the other FCMs, what things do you think we could potentially do to help promote and advocate and build volume in the Montreal products?
First of all, thank you for asking that question. I think that helping the Montreal Exchange get the word out about the product. I'm on the regulatory side now, but when I was on the commercial side of the business, I very clearly saw our approved participants, both the Canadians and the foreign approved participants, as the distribution network for our products, really our partners in getting the product out. So I think that firms like Advantage, making your customers, your clients aware of our products. We're always very happy to come and do presentations. I know we do lunch and learns here at your offices. Really helping us get the awareness out and some of the distinctions between our products and other products. For example, our STIRS, the BAX, is a FIFO model, which is unique. And the Canadian economy is different from the U.S. economy. There are opportunities, whether it's spreading products or particular opportunities in the Canadian space. So I think really helping us get the word out and helping us inform clients and potential clients as to the opportunities.
Yeah. I think those opportunities are going to present themselves too as the rate hiking cycle begins,
Yes.
Because not all economies are going to be raising the rates at the same point in time. So I think there's going to be a lot of relative yield curve trades where you can do U.S. versus Canada and
Right.
have some good opportunities there.
Well, there was the famous bed spread, which is one of the best names for it, which is the BAX Eurodollar. So that has always been a popular trade, and as you said, as the rate increases move at different speeds, there'll be more opportunities there as well.
Exactly. Do you see any new product on the horizon, or is there potential need for a new product out of Canada?
Well, I think that we're always looking for opportunities to identify opportunities for new products. We are developing swap futures. We're licensing the ERIS methodology, and that's a product that we plan on launching in the second half of 2016. Mm-hmm. So I think clearly there's an interest in the market for a product like that. We've also launched some new index futures, capped utilities and banks. and there has been some interest there as well. So we're always listening to our participants and to the end users. What do you need? If we identify the need, then we see if we can get a two-sided market. And if we can get a two-sided market, we have a product.
Yes, I didn't know about the new equity indices. That's very interesting too. Now, when you had your career, a couple decades, 15 years.
Actually, yes, it's going to be 15 years in 15 years next year. So,
15 years at the Montreal Exchange,
Yeah.
and before that, IOSCO and so on. If you were right now meeting with a 25-year-old young person out of college, would you recommend going into this industry, or do you think the industry's best days are behind it and you would head to a new field, or what would you recommend a young person?
You know, I've never been the type of person to look at a situation and say its best days are behind it. I'm always very forward-looking, and when there has been a great deal of change in this industry. There will continue to be change, but change presents opportunities. Certainly, the types of skill sets that are needed now in the business have evolved a great deal over the past 15 years. So I think there are great opportunities. Thinking about everything from market structure, market microstructure, regulation and compliance, IT and operations, sales, trading strategies. And as I said at the beginning of our conversation, it's the variety of this business that is one of its most appealing aspects. I think the other thing is that has kept me in the space for such a long time is the people. I really, truly like the people in this business. And I'm here in town for the FIA Expo, and I always learn a lot when I'm here. And it's also a great opportunity to connect with people who I know in this business from literally all over the world. So I'd recommend it. I think it's a great industry.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I know at our company, everybody has liked working with and knowing you for a decade plus, and thank you very much for all you do to help us as well. And if anybody wants to go to Canada, get there while the currency is depressed, because you can buy everything Canadian very cheaply these days.
There's a 30% off sale, so come on out.
Brian, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a real pleasure,
Thank you.
Joe. Thank you.